The life of Mina Ashido, Pinky, My Hero Academia. Mina Ashido, also known as Pinky, is a student in Class 1A at UA High School, training to become a pro hero. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Mina Ashido. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. The Amagi's reach stretches beyond just this channel, so if you're a fan of us, please consider subscribing to our other channels and following us on all of our social media accounts. Help us reach our goal of passing 100,000 followers on all of our accounts by the end of the year. And with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Background. Back in her middle school days, Mina was considered a favorite by peers to become a future hero due to her looks, personality, and strong quirk, being capable of making bullies and the bullied get along. When her friends were approached by a gigantic threatening figure, Mina built the courage to stand up against the monster and trick it into leaving herself and her friends alone, breaking down into tears right after as Eijiro Kirishima just watched. Mina took the UA entrance exam alongside Eijiro, with both being approved in the end. Mina noticed Eijiro's new look and attitude towards his goal in becoming a hero. She became interested in whether Eijiro had truly changed or not, asking for the boy to tell her once he became sure of his new persona. Battle Trial Arc. Mina watches the battle trial between the teams of Izuku Midoriya and Ochako Uraraka against Tenya Ida and Katsuki Bakugo. She also watches the battle between Shoto Todoroki and Mezo Shoji against Mashida Ojiro and Toru Hagakure. Being impressed by Shoto's power, Mina is teamed up with Yuga Aoyama against Rikido Sato and Koji Koda. Accidentally, some drops of her acid splatter Yuga's cape, making holes in it. Mina then apologizes. U.S.J. Arc. Mina was seen with other students getting on the bus to head for the park for their training. Upon arriving, they were attacked by villains and got separated. Mina was saved from being warped by Rikido Sato, and she and Ochako helped him in detaining Kurogiri long enough for Tenya to go for help. Mina was horrified when 13 was wounded, and this lasted until All Might arrived, and upon seeing him, she started to cry out of joy. After that experience, All Might had commented that those in Class A will be great heroes. Mina is shown to still be shaken by the events. UA Sports Festival Arc. Mina places 19th in the obstacle race, allowing her to participate in the next event, the Cavalry Battle. She teams up with Katsuki Bakugo, Eijiro Kirishima, and Hanta Sero. After Naito takes her team's headband, Mina's worried when she sees Katsuki's fury after he states that they'll beat them before going after Izuku. After Katsuki grabs two of Naito's headbands and Hanta, Katsuki still wants more points and orders his team to attack, having Hanta use his quirk and has Mina use her dissolving fluid. Eijiro and his team ride on Mina's fluid to reach Naito's team faster, thanks to Hanta reeling in his tape. Katsuki attacks Naito for the final time and grabs his last headband, which places their team at second place, allowing them to participate in the final event. Tsuyu congratulates Mina for qualifying for the next event, but Mina states that Katsuki added her to his team as an answer to Shoto's ice and has doubt whether she can match up with her strength. After Denki and Minoru state that the girls must do the cheering battle as per orders from their homeroom teacher, Mina and the other girls of Class 1A walk out in cheerleading outfits. However, as Mina and the girls walk out, they realize they've been tricked. During the recreational events, Mina is seen cheerleading. Mina's opponent in the first round of the tournament is Yuga Aoyama. During the match, Mina used a strategy that exploits Yuga's weakness. She kept at a distance, narrowly avoiding his laser blast, causing Yuga to overuse his belt, causing him to feel stomach pains, and in that moment, Mina attacks Yuga with a one-hit KO to his jaw, knocking him out and defeating him, allowing her to move on to the next round. Mina faces her opponent Fumikage in her second round match. However, Fumikage defeats her, eliminating her from the tournament. After all of this, Mina, along with her class, watches the closing ceremony of UA Sports Festival versus Hero Killer Arc. 2 days after the sports festival, Mina is in class having a discussion with some of her classmates. During the Hero Informatics, Class 1A have to decide on their hero names, supervised by Midnight. Mina writes down and presents her hero name, Ridley Hero Alien Queen. However, Midnight tells Mina to change her name, finding it to be scary, although it would also invite trouble for copyright reasons, obviously. Alien Queen, Ridley Hero. Afterwards, Mina changes her hero name to Pinky. After Class 1A is finished formulating their hero names, Mina is given a list of 40 workplaces in order to choose a workplace that she wants to train at. Mashida talks to her, noting that she should have more nominations because she put on a good show in the sports festival. On the day of the workplace training, Mina is at a train station with her class so that she can travel to the workplace of her choice by train. She's excited until her teacher tells her to settle down. The workplace training comes to an end, and Mina returns to UA. In Class 1A, Mina talks to Suyu and Kyoka about their workplace training. During the Foundational Heroes studies, Mina, along with Izuku, Tenya, Mashida, and Hanta, is part of the first group to partake in the rescue training race. The race begins, and Mina uses her quirk to maneuver around the construction site, and she's shocked when Izuku quickly takes the lead, with her being speechless at his newly improved skills before he accidentally trips and loses the race. Eventually, Mina completes the race as All Might commends the group for improving their quirks broadly since entering UA and asks them to prepare for the end-of-term test. After Foundational Hero Studies is finished, Mina is in the girls' locker room and changes into her school uniform. Mina becomes annoyed that Minoru tried to peek on her and the other girls. Final Exams Arc. Mina and Denki admit that they haven't been studying due to the many events that have taken place throughout the semester. Back in class, Izuku reveals the content of the exercise test to the class, much to Mina and Denki's happiness. Mezzo notes that they're happy because they don't have to adjust their quirks for real-life opponents. Throughout the final week before the end-of-term test, Mina studies under Momo's tutoring along with Denki, Kyoka, Hanta, and Mashirao. On the day of the exercise test, Shota says that Class 1A without a doubt have some knowledge about the exercise test, to which Mina and Denki exclaim that it will be fighting against robots. However, Principal Nezu bursts Mina and Denki's bubble by revealing that they'll be fighting against UA's teachers for the exercise test. Mina is paired with Denki, and they have to fight Principal Nezu on their test. The test begins. Denki and Mina struggle against Principal Nezu, who has commandeered a wrecking ball and uses it to block off the roads leading to the escape gate. Denki and Mina are unable to get to the escape gate or handcuff Principal Nezu, and as a result, they fail the practical test. Back in class at UA, Mina is crestfallen that she's unable to go to the Forest Lodge due to failing the practical test. Soon, Shota Aizawa enters the classroom and informs Class 1A that all of them are going to the Forest Lodge, which will be a boot camp, much to Mina's happiness. However, Mina will be receiving harsher training at the boot camp for failing the practical test. Mina, along with the class, go to Kiashi Ward shopping mall to buy necessities for the Forest Lodge. Forest Training Camp Arc. On the day of the event, Class 1A boards a bus that will take them to the Forest Lodge destination. An hour later, Class 1A's bus stops for a restroom break. There, they meet Pixie Bob and Mandalay, two members of the Wild Wild Pussycats, who challenges the students to reach base camp past the forest in 3 hours. Well over the time limit, Class 1A arrives at the base camp exhausted and battered. Pixie Bob admits that she thought they would take longer to get there. Class 1A fetched the luggage from the bus and put it in their rooms, then head to the dining hall to have dinner, and after this, Class 1A go to the hot springs. At the hot springs, Mina thanks Kota for stopping Minoru from trying to peek on them. Because of course, Mineta would. The next day at 5:30 a.m., Class 1A are outside of the training camp cabin. Shota greets his students and tells them that they will undergo reinforcement training to strengthen and upgrade their quirks. Mina trains her quirk by intermittently creating acid to increase her skin's durability. Afterward, Class 1A and 1B are tasked with cooking for themselves. Then Mina and the other students who failed their practicals take extra lessons with Shota until 2 in the morning. Training starts back up at 7 the next day. Mina, Ashido, Denki, Rikido, and Hanta are all super tired, but Shota forces them to train anyway. After another day of intense training, Mina's happy because that night they'll participate in a courage test. Shota, however, forces the extra lessons group to sit out for more teaching, much to their displeasure. The Vanguard Action Squad of the League of Villains invade that night. Mandalay sends out a telepathic message warning the students of their arrival. Shortly after Shota leaves, Mandalay sends out 2 more messages giving permission for students to fight back and informing everyone that Katsuki is one of the villains' targets. Hideout Raid Arc. The villains successfully kidnap Katsuki and the students return home from camp. 2 days later, Mina visits Izuku in the hospital along with many of her peers. There, she knows the plan of Ashido and Shoto to rescue Katsuki. Although she doesn't participate in it, she doesn't oppose the intentions of her classmates either. Provisional Hero License Exam Arc. Following the intense villain attacks towards UA students and the rescue of Bakugo, Nezu orders the construction of a series of buildings to transform UA into a boarding school in order to protect the students. As Class 1A arrives at their dorm, Mina is overjoyed at how big their new dorm is. Before the class could enter, Shota scolded Momo, Ashido, Izuku, Tenya, and Shoto for acting as if they had already obtained their temporary licenses. He furthermore says he would have expelled everyone but Katsuki, Toru, and Kyoka due to them being captured and hospitalized respectively from the school if it weren't for All Might's sudden retirement, and asked them to stick to the rules from now on. Afterwards, the class explored their new dorm, with Mina instantly loving the place. After everyone moved in and decorated their rooms, Mina suggests that they make a room showcasing competition. The next day, Shota announces that Class 1A will be working on developing their special moves, much to the class's excitement. The class visits Gym Gamma, where Samantas creates a training ground for the class with Ectoplasm using his quirk to create villains for the class to practice their moves on. During the training, she tries to fire an acid hose from her spread palms, however it doesn't shoot very far, to which Ectoplasm suggests her to place her palms onto each other and shoot the acid out of the gap, which successfully lets her shoot her acid further away. Ectoplasm suggests her to aim at small targets next. After 4 days of training, Vlad King and Class B come to announce that the hero qualification exam will soon start, with Nato Monoma pointing out that half of the people taking the test fail. Later that evening, the Class 1A girls are relaxing in the dorms lounge, asking about each other's progress with their training. When Ochako can't answer about her progress, Mina suspects that she fell in love with a boy. Even though it visibly flusters Ochako, Mina keeps questioning her. On the day where the hero qualification exam starts, Class 1A arrives in the test location along with several other classes from other hero schools. Mina and Sero wonder why the energetic Inasa Yaorashi likes Yue so much since he declined entering the school. She then marvels at the heroine Miss Joke because she asks Shota to marry her. Shortly after the exam starts, the first part of the exam involves thinning out the amount of people who can succeed by playing a game, where people put 3 marks on their body and are given 6 balls to throw at the other examinees' marks. Those whose marks have been hit are disqualified. As the exam starts, the students of the other schools focus entirely on Yue. Mina manages to deflect several with her acid. 2 enemy students work together to attack Yue. One hardens a bunch of throwing balls, another one throws them underground in an arc, making them shoot out of the ground just before hitting Minoru. However, Mina manages to block them once again with her super move, Acid Veil. The UA students are then separated by Yo Shindo's quirk, which let him create an earthquake and shattered the ground apart. Mina managed to regroup up with Mashirao, Minoru, and Toru during the exam. As the exam reached its end, Mina and her group managed to locate Tenya and Yuga thanks to him firing his laser into the sky. Fumikage, Koji, and Rikido are also joined and help their classmates fend off the several opponents. Together, all of Class 1A passed the first round. Mina waits with her classmates until the second round of the Provisional Hero License exam begins. It consists of a rescue mission, and the scenario is that a villain terrorist attack has destroyed the city and there are many victims. The students are expected to rescue HUC employees who act as victims. Fumikage, Koji, Mashirao, and Mina form a rescue group and head to the mountain zone. Mina performs the rescues until the exam becomes more complicated when Gang Orca and his sidekicks arrive, acting as villains. Mina, along with Fumikage and Mashirao, arrive to help the evacuation effort at the waterfront. When they have a chance, the 3 go to face the villains, and Mina uses her quirks to attack and knock down some goons until the end of the exam is announced, and the Provisional Hero License exam is officially closed. The results of the Provisional Hero License exam are presented on the screen, and Mina is one of the students who passes the exam, receiving her provisional license, although she's surprised to learn that Shoto failed the exam. Shie Hassaikai Arc. Next day to the Provisional Hero License exam, Shota tells Class 1A about hero work studies, hero activities done off-campus, saying that it's a more formalized version of the field training they did with pro heroes before. 3 days later, Shota Aizawa introduces Class 1A to the people who will teach them about hero internships, the third-year students who rank among the top of all UA students, known as the Big 3. Mirio Togata, Tamaki Amajiki, and Nejire Hado. The personalities of the 3 students leave Class 1A confused, who get even more confused when Mirio Togata challenges them all to a fight. At Gym Gamma, Mirio tells Class 1A to attack him whenever and wherever they want. Mina, like the rest of her classmates, attacks him, but thanks to his quirk Permeation, Mirio easily defeats all students of Class 1A. As Class 1A recovers, Mirio asks them if they think his quirk is strong, and Mina, with Toru and Hanta, replies that his quirk is too strong, and she even asks him if he has some kind of hybrid with 2 quirks like Todoroki. Mirio explains that he has one quirk called Permeation, that grants him the ability to phase his body through physical matter. Mina compares Mirio's quirk to a video game glitch, which Mirio finds hilarious. He states that the reason he wanted to fight Class 1A is to show the experience he gained from the hero work studies. Thanks to that, Mirio was able to make his quirk more powerful and reach the top. Class 1A applauds Mirio's speech, and they realize what the work study could do for their skills. A few more days later, Mina congratulates Ochako and Tsuyu for their hero debut as they help Nejire in taking down 2 giant villains. Remedial Course Arc. Days after the police raid at the base of the Shie Hassaikai, Izuku, Eijiro, Ochako, and Tsuyu return to their dormitories at the school, where the entirety of Class 1A checks on their intern classmates, making sure they're okay physically and mentally after their mission. Mina asks Eijiro about his state of mind, causing Eijiro to reply that he still has a long way to go. Mina accepts Eijiro's thoughts. Mina then talks to Ochako and Tsuyu, who brings them to Koji's pet bunny to help them cheer up. UA School Festival Arc. At Class 1A's Heights Alliance, Mina Ashido is showing off her dance moves, which impresses some of her classmates. Interested, Izuku Midoriya decides to learn some dance moves from Mina that may be useful to his combat style. Mina is happy to teach him. Later in the classroom, Shota Aizawa announces that UA High School will be having a school festival and tells Class 1A to pick out a program to perform at the festival. That night at Heights Alliance, students continue to decide what to do for the festival. Mina keeps suggesting to dance, to which Shoto Todoroki unexpectedly agrees and goes on to say that relieving stress where everyone can have fun is a great idea. Mina's idea is combined with other suggestions, and finally the entire Class 1A decides that its school festival program will be a live performance and dance with party space. Mina herself volunteers to teach her classmates how to dance. Until the festival, the dance team constantly practices the choreography, and on the appointed day, the performance of Class 1A ends up being a huge success. Joint Training Arc. During the joint training session between classes 1A and 1B, Mina Ashido is placed on a team with Izuku, Ochako, and Minoru. His team faces Monoma's team in round 5. As the teams enter Ground Gamma, Class 1A's team realizes they're at a disadvantage, as all of them have more physical quirks and are therefore vulnerable to Class 1B's long-range attacks. Mina suggests they try to catch them by setting a trap, and Izuku volunteers to act as a decoy in an attempt to draw their opponents out. Mina asks if Izuku's quirk is okay, as he said something unusual was happening with it before, but he says it's fine and he's feeling okay. Izuku leaps out ahead of the team, knowing that Class 1B can't ignore him and stands out on purpose, fulfilling his act as a decoy while Mina, Ochako, and Minoru are left behind, preparing traps against Class 1B. Meanwhile, Izuku deals with Nato and Hitoshi, and the rest of Class 1B attacks Deku's teammates, and Ochako and Mina use their quirks to defend against their attacks. Mina fires her acid shot attack at the other team, but Yui blocks it with an enlarged plate of metal. Minoru protects Mina from a Nirengeki twin impact attack using his Grape Buckler shield. The recoil sends him flying right into Mina's breasts, all according to his plan. Annoyed, she throws him at the other team using her acid layback, and Minoru bounces off his own balls for a Grape Pinky combo Mineta bounce attack. Bounces off his own balls. Finally, the team in Class 1A ends up winning. After the round, Izuku thanks Hitoshi and Ochako for helping him earlier. Mina teases Ochako for grabbing onto Izuku so hard in an attempt to save him. This causes both Izuku and Ochako to blush rapidly. Also, Mina wants Eraserhead to punish Minoru for being a disgusting creep after the stunt he pulled during the match, much to his dismay. Later, while classes 1A and B hang out together after the exercise, Mina subjects Minoru to the Ludovico technique for his actions. My Hero Academia: Heroes Rising. During fall, the Hero Public Safety Commission devises the Hero Work Recommendation Project to help to train the new generation of heroes due to All Might's retirement. Weeks go by, and shortly after winter begins, after the hero interview training, Class 1A is sent to Nabu Island, a remote place in southern Japan. The pro-heroes who protected the island are about to retire, so the students will take care of the place, performing duties as real heroes acting like their own hero office until the arrival of new pro-heroes. Because Nabu Island is quite isolated from the rest of the country and therefore far from any villain activity, there's been no notable incident since the last 30 years. For this reason, their work on the island involves mostly minor deeds. Mina is sitting around in the Hero Agency headquarters on the island, taking calls and dispatching Class 1A members to help out people around the island. Later, she and Yuga use their quirks to clear a highway road blocked by boulders. The next day, Mina is at the office taking calls. She gets a call from a tourist to help out to report that her suitcase has disappeared. Unfortunately, that same day, the island is attacked by Nine and his gang. A neighbor and Fumikage arrive at the office to report that the commercial area and the beach are under attack. Tenya quickly organizes the class to face these threats. Mina, Kyoka, and Momo assist their classmate and Nabu inhabitants with medical evacuation. At night, the Class 1A members regroup at a factory where the rest of the island's citizens are currently staying at due to the villain attack. They provide food and first aid to the inhabitants of the island. Mina helps in the kitchens preparing meals for the refugees. She also asks Hanta about the villain that Katsuki had defeated, and he replies that he's locked up and chained inside the machine room. But he refuses to talk to any of them after they question the villain. Later, Class 1A has a meeting where they discover the objective of the villain leader 9 is to steal the cell activation quirk from a boy named Katsuma. With this information, they devise a plan to approach them in front and keep civilians safe. The plan is to lure the villains to the furthest corner of the island where ancient castle ruins are. The heroes will engage the villains using their terrain to their advantage and split the villains apart, so each member has to face several students alone. The next morning, Nine and his gang arrive at the entrance to the island. When the students see the villains approaching, they put their plan into action. Yuga Aoyama and Momo Yaoyorudu start attacking them from afar with their respective quirks at full power. While Nine blocks the attack with his airwall quirk, Slice and Chimera break away from the blast, unaware that they're falling right into Class 1A's trap. The ground under Slice's feet collapses, and she falls into an underground cave where Mina and Fumikage prepare to face her. Fumikage engages close combat with Slice in his black Ankh, with Mina providing support using her acid quirk. Despite using the darkness to his advantage, Fumikage proves to be unmatched for Slice and her swift combat agility. Fumikage makes an opening for Mina to destroy much of Slice's hair using her super move, Acid Shot. However, the villain still has enough to fight back, and fires multiple barrages of sharp needles at them. Mina is seriously injured with 3 of the needle hairs piercing at her thigh. Seeing his wounded classmate enraged Fumikage, and his dark shadow quirk intensifies to become massively monstrous and viciously attacks Slice. The villain attempts to shoot her hair needles at the ceiling to allow more light to enter, but she's defeated by Fumikage after Dark Shadow grabbed her. However, the cavern collapses on top of them. The sunlight from the sky nullifies Dark Shadow as Fumikage uses his body to shield the wounded Mina, while the cavern buries all of them under piles of boulders. While all 3 are buried, Izuku and Katsuki manage to defeat 9, saving the island and its inhabitants in the process. Soon, a military force and a large number of heroes arrive on Nabu Island, rescuing the civilians and medically treating Class 1A. Hawks himself rescues Fumikage and Mina from the pile of rocks. The villains are arrested, and for the next 2 weeks, Class 1A continues to stay on Nabu Island to help repair the damage done by 9 and his villains until the Public Safety Commission suspends the program and orders them to be sent home. With the island being repaired by the military and the heroes, Class 1A boards a ferry to return to UA High School. Endeavor Agency Arc. Mount Lady is invited to UA to give Class 1A hero interview training lessons. One by one, the students participate in a simulated interview. On the night of Christmas Eve, she celebrates Christmas with her classmates at the Heist Alliance. She and Denki are constantly trying to get Bakugo into a Santa outfit, which they eventually succeed. When the class holds a surprise gift exchange, Mina gets a weight. With hero work studies back in effect, she, Yuga Aoyama, and Toru Higakure work under the number 9 pro hero, Yoroi Musha. Paranormal Liberation War Arc. Winter break ends and students return from their work studies to show their progress with their quirks and skills. In the girls' changing room, the girls comment about Ochako's new costume. Mina fiddles with the belt of her costume. Ochako tries to stop her, but something falls out of it, which is revealed to be the All Might keychain she got from Izuku during Christmas, much to Ochako's embarrassment. Mina teases Ochako for a bit, but she denies any thoughts as she puts it away. At Ground Alpha, under the supervision of All Might, the students battle villain bots to show off the new skills and super moves they've developed. Mina, Yuga, and Toru are the first to show their improvement under the tutelage of Yoroi Musha. Mina uses her new super move, Acid Man, to defeat the villain bots. When their demonstration ends, she bounces over to Eijiro, revealing that she was inspired by his Red Riot Unbreakable to create her Acid Man. Eijiro is pretty flattered that he and his move were her inspiration. After Izuku ends his turn, he thanks Ochako for helping him during the joint training battle. Then they fist bump over the fact that they lift each other up. When Mina sees this, she can't help but to jump up and down excitedly. Later at night, she helps her classmates to organize a work-study, brainstorm, hotpot party to energize everyone for the new term. The months go by until it's late March. The Hero Public Safety Commission had uncovered the plans of Tomura Shigaraki and his organization, the Paranormal Liberation Front. They organize a large force of heroes to take the villain organization down. While a team of heroes raid the Jaku General Hospital, where the Nomu are created, another team does the same at Gunga Mountain Villa, the front's main headquarters. Mina joins the Villa backup team along with some of her classmates and Class 1B students. Their mission is to provide support for the heroes who raid the Gunga Mountain Villa and prevent villains from escaping. As the hospital team failed and Tomura Shigaraki woke up, Gigantomachia reacted and began to head his way. Several heroes attempt and fail to stop him, so Midnight advises Momo to make a plan to put the giant to sleep. For the plan, Momo produces 1-liter canisters of anesthetic for the students in the area, telling them that only one needs to be chucked into Gigantomachia's mouth to put him to sleep. The students deduce that because of the presence of blue flames, the League of Villains is riding on Gigantomachia's back. As Minoru worries for Midnight's safety, Mina assures them that she survived, as she still has more to teach at school. After Gigantomachia falls for the students' trap, they attempt to chuck a canister into his mouth, but fail. The situation is worsened when Dabi uses his flames to set the area on fire, preventing the students from advancing towards them. However, Mina manages to push through the flames using her super move, Acid Man. As Mount Lady holds the giant's mouth open, Mina advances and prepares to throw her canister into Gigantomachia's mouth. Unfortunately, at the same time, Gigantomachia realizes that he must first shake off the heroes to get to his master as fast as possible. Upon realizing that Gigantomachia is the scary figure she faced in middle school, Mina freezes up and loses grip on her canister. The giant manages to throw Mount Lady to the side, knocking her out, and attempts to crush Mina with his hand. Before Mina could be crushed by Gigantomachia, Eijiro jumps in just in time to push Mina out of the way, and he manages to grab Mina's canister. Tetsu arrives and helps Mina to safety, while Ashido climbs his way up Gigantomachia, where he manages to chuck Mina's canister into his mouth. After his canister was destroyed, more heroes come to face the villains, but annoyed by the constant interruptions, Gigantomachia transforms, taking on an armored appearance, and with his enormous strength, he finally manages to get out of the trap and easily defeat the heroes. One of them, Majestic, used his quirk to bring the students to safety before being defeated. Gigantomachia continues on his way to Tomura, destroying everything in his path. The students of UA only can watch astonished the destruction left by the monster, with some of them wondering if the drug will have an effect on the giant. Later, they tell Mirio about the sedative when he was going to the same place as Gigantomachia. As the battle against Tomura continues and the sedative finally works, Mina and her teammates come to rescue, aid, and assist the wounded heroes. After the war had concluded, Shie, Ashido, Momo, and Rikido find Midnight's corpse and mourn her death. She's one of the classmates who's there in the hospital when Shoto is recovering from his injuries. Since she saw the broadcast, she's aware of Shoto's past and the truth about his older brother, and Mina tells Shoto it'll be alright, while crying, still mourning the death of Midnight. When Fuyumi and Natsuo enter the room, Mina greets them, assuming they're Shoto's siblings, and informing them he can't talk due to injuries sustained to his throat. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching, Adrian out.